I've been syncing them on like you putting a cup down.
You know how we put an entire note on there?
On
every time,
single
all
time.
caps, it says sync the audio, and we never do it.
We could make that purple and we still wouldn't do it.
Probably would do it less if it was purple.
I can't see purple. I don't see nothing. I'm purple blind.
Bro's purple blind.
I made it. That's why I made it exactly at 10:30. I was like, bro, I got that timing down. I'm like, dude, I literally sent you that message like at 10:30 on the dot as I was turning your driveway. I was like, yeah.
I was like, oh man, I haven't heard from Jordan. Maybe he died or something. But I didn't care enough to reach out. So.
Wouldn't it be really funny if you're like, man, I haven't heard from you. You stepped outside and my yard was just like upside down in the middle of your street on fire.
I step outside, I'm like, oh, where's Jordan? And I see you in the process of crashing and getting launched out of your windshield and turning into a splatter on my street.
I don't know why, but I think that would be absolutely hysterical. Like,
Bro would be dead, but he wouldn't even be mad about it. He'd
honestly,
be like, this is going to be hilarious.
I would just hope that you happen to, for whatever reason, be like filming and you're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, I've always thought that'd be really funny to be like, you'd be like, oh, hey, it's Jordan. And then an 18-wheeler just comes by doing 60. He eviscerates me.
Destroys the fucking hamster ball yards.
Dude, I get hit so hard that after the truck passes by, the 4 wheels are still just sitting there.
Alright, let's start this thing.
Oh, man.
Hello and welcome to the 132nd installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by our other host, Jordan.
Who also lasts 30 seconds. Chris, I'm going to jump ahead here. All you got to do is find the show, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify Podcast, and the RSS feed. And, as always, contact us via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, and death threats. It's all linked below. There's also Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube and Spotify have video platforms. I'm just getting that shit out the way. They know by now. You've heard it 132 times.
Even if this is your first episode, you know it already.
You know. You walked in the room and you're like...
Yeah.
It's like a ritual. So, anyway, Chris, what have you been up to? Let's go.
So, all right.
What's going on, filler?
So, before we started the episode, Jordan was making fun of people who can't see color.
Mostly because my coworker can't see certain colors, so I was just kind of making fun of him.
I've been gifted with the sight of color. And so has
all
Jordan.
The cones work in your eyes?
All of them work.
Got my cones firing on all
Maybe
cylinders.
not as well as they should, but I can distinguish all the colors. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as well as I should, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
So, what the story I was telling was, in my my lighting lab, I was director last week. My group was in charge of directing and producing, and we basically just were co-directors. We all were directors. But my name was on the slate as director.
He's a bit of a director.
I'm a bit of a fucking director. And a lot of lighting has to do with color.
Of course. Color, temperature, everything.
Yeah, and we were trying to replicate the look of like a cave of some kind.
Very bluey, right?
So we wanted very blue light, and then we wanted a portion at the end of this cave that was lit very yellowy.
Right. Makes sense.
And we were trying to stage the shot, and I was doing something else. And one of the people in my group, he was looking at the monitor, and he was like, him and I were looking at it together. And I go, yeah, you see like how like the blue looks here? I think that's a good a good shade of blue. And he goes, yeah, I can't see color, so... I was like, well, fuck.
And then the whole thing in orange like it's in India.
And then I started like pointing at stuff. And I goes, you see how the colors here interact? Never mind. So
that's why he's the bit of a director.
So I can see color, and he could not, which is
bro has no future.
Unfortunate, really, honestly. Which is a shame because he was good to work with.
Yeah.
But, just get better eyes.
It'd be really funny if someone was, like, straight out colorblind, like, could barely see any colors. Like, is that what he was like, or was it just blues?
I think it was, like, he was, like, blue-yellow.
Blue-yellow. If someone was just somehow...
I forget how it works. I know red-green is one.
Yeah.
Blue-yellow, I think, is one, or blue-orange, or something like that.
I think it'd be really funny to have someone who's, like, somehow completely colorblind. Just try to make a movie. The fucking whole shot's, like, purple, and this one's green. Like, they don't even know what the fuck's going on.
I don't know what's happening right now.
Shit, man.
So, yeah, I was a bit of a director.
Bro thought Kratos was pink. How we do that?
He's white with white tattoos?
That just seems stupid.
That seems foolish. That's a bit silly.
But how can you see the tattoos? They're
Shut
a different
up.
shade of white. It's like, huh? Huh?
Well, this one's white, and this one's a bit almond white.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's the fucking
It's
house paints.
The thing that my dad will do when he paints things is there'll be shades of like off-white, and they're different. It's the same fucking color. It's the same color.
If anything, it's probably more in how they reflect light and stuff, and like how much light they actually bounce. But like, it's the same fucking color.
It's the same color.
Same fucking color.
So yeah, imagine not being able to see colors.
Yeah, just imagine. Of course, I got a question for you in regards to colors, kind of color adjacent. If that's all you got.
Okay.
Are you a daylight bulb kind of guy, or are you more like a warm light kind of guy?
So, here's the thing. I don't have like a super strong preference. All the lights in my room are all very daylight-esque. Mm-hmm. And I have the sunlight lamp, which is working miracles, by the way. It helps me.
You're like fucking Superman. You're like, oh.
It helps me wake up in the morning more so than anything. Mm-hmm. But it's been working pretty well. I'm feeling significantly better this time around.
That's good.
So thanks to my pal Jordan.
Yeah.
My pal Jordan. Okay,
that's it.
My pal Jordan.
I just fucking ice him. The rest of the show, you're just slumped.
So anyway, I got the sunlight lamp.
Yeah. Which is obviously like a warm...
It's
light.
It's just a very, very bright white light.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like cool, but it's not warm either.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about getting some warm lights for my room, just because, I don't know. I feel like space needs a bit of yellow,
a little bit of yeller. So the reason I asked is I had this discussion with Letsy's brother-in-law about lights and stuff like that. I mean, we were talking about like his house, because his house has a lot of warm lights, but it's a big open concept house. And I was saying how like for me, when I moved into my apartment, it was fucking daylights out the ass, dude. Like every bulb got replaced with a daylight, because I prefer the bright.
I remember because we would record the podcast. If it was in your apartment, if you were in your apartment, you looked like you were in heaven.
If I remember, I want to put up the one clip where that got a comment that someone said I looked like I was in fucking heaven.
You looked like you were in heaven.
But I'm a big daylight enjoyer. Although I found out apparently it's rare. So like I have 6,000K, right? And I found out you can get 5,000K. It's fairly rare, but it's like a little bit more warm, obviously. But it has like a perfect balance. I feel like it showed a white house, like a white wall, or like maybe like a light gray wall. In the daylight, you could see like it was blowing out the image a little. It was reflecting a lot. But in the 5,000K, it was like perfectly balanced color temperature all throughout. And I was like, I kind of like that. But I'm a big daylight enjoyer. Let me know. Let me know in the comments, whoever's listening, because I'm real curious, because I found out I feel like anyway, I'm in the minority on that, because everyone I ask at work is like, nah, fuck daylight. I'm like, I like daylight.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, I don't have any complaints, really.
For warm just makes me depressed.
It depends. Because now I'm going to start to become the thing I swore to destroy. Something like a Phillips Hue bulb. Best of both worlds.
Well, that's
you can change it.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, I still refuse to buy them.
Because they're like very expensive,
on principle. I don't know if they just make like bicolor ones that you can just switch. So that might be nice.
So Letsy's brother-in-law did reference Phillips Hue. They make one bulb specifically. It's a little pricey, as you'd expect, but its biggest feature is that when you have it at max brightness, it's daylight, and as you dim it, it warms. As it dims.
That would be nice.
That is nice. That's where I would like it as well.
Because you can adjust, but at that point, depending on the price difference, I would just buy the full spectrum one.
Yeah. I remember this argument we had about Phillips Hue bulbs.
We had like a heated argument about this.
I will be honest.
You got mad.
I was having a real bad day, and that argument didn't help. It was at work.
No. It was Jordan was pissed afterwards.
It was a bad day at work. I was helping Alex and Chris in their department, and I was like, I'm gonna have a good time with the boys. So I brought something up and immediately got berated for it. It turned into a genuine argument, and then I got heated, like actually heated.
I was making my point. And Jordan was like, yeah, okay, yeah. You can think that, buddy. It's like, what did I do to you?
So for context, Phillips Hue bulbs, just keeping it brief. I don't know how we brought it up or something, but we were talking about Phillips Hue bulbs, and I said that I like them because my apartment doesn't have a neutral wire, so I can't have smart switches. So I could get a Wi-Fi enabled bulb, a Phillips Hue, and turn the light on and off as I'm like bringing groceries up. And Chris and Alex were saying like, just turn the fucking light on, and I'm like, yeah, but it's away from the door. And then keep it on. And I was like, well, no, I always turn it off when I leave. I leave the kitchen one dim or whatever. And it turned into this big argument with both sides debating, and it was Alex and Chris versus me. And it was one of the few times that, like, I just couldn't take it. Like, I was just having such a bad day. And like Chris said, by the end of his argument, I literally said, yeah, good for you, Chris. I'm glad you think that. Like, that's fine. You do what you want.
Hey, listen, I will say, when I do get to arguing, I could be kind of a dickhead.
Well, I do have to say, what was really funny about that day was, so that happened. I stayed in their department helping them. I was silent. We were all quiet, just doing our stuff. And then finally, like, I looked at Chris looked at me, and we all just started laughing. We're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what just actually happened?
When the argument ended, I was like, oh, he's mad now. And he goes, no, I want to get this done. and then we just kept working for like a few minutes, and then every tension's eased.
Yeah, tension's eased. We all looked at each other and we're like,
this fucking guy over here. Him and his bulbs.
Listen, I'll admit when I'm sensy, and that was one of those moments. It was just a bad day, and then we were getting fucked. I think our boss had walked out because he had a meeting, so we were just fucked, the three of us, just stuck doing the work.
That feels familiar.
Fucking three dudes?
Yeah.
Huh? So, it was
what
just
I was doing last night, brother.
Huh? But yeah, that was that was like a genuine argument. Not like argument, but like
I was fucking three dudes,
moment.
Johnny, Jack, and Jim. Johnny Walker, Jack Daniels, and Jim Beam. That's not true. I have none of those products in my house. I have actually 0 of those. I was fucking a wild turkey, though. I know that. 101 times.
How much fucking stuffing were you putting there?
Oh, more than enough.
More than enough. Shit looked like a fucking Boston cream donut by the end. Anyway.
What the fuck is this show? What have we become, Jordan?
I don't know. We've become what we sought to destroy, I feel like you said.
Yeah, so Phillips Hue bulbs, I might think about it, but then I'd kind of become a hypocrite. But also, it would probably cost like $1,000
for 4 bulbs
to put all the lights in my room, because I have like
there's
6 light bulbs in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of bulbs in there.
And what happens when they break and I have to replace a $200 light bulb?
Yeah, it's.
I don't think they're that much anymore. They used to be like $200 a bulb. I think they're like 50 or 60 now.
Yeah, which is definitely more reasonable, but like, ugh.
A lot more reasonable, especially when you get high quality LED lamps. They are like $30 or $40.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And you get obviously all the features we talked about, but so this episode's sponsored by Philips.
I wish, bro.
I wish, bro. Hit me with that sponsorship, bro.
Philip, give me some of that money.
Philip, give me that Hue, brother.
Hit my bank account.
Jordan needs a new Civic Si.
Chris needs a new anything.
Anything that's not a Ford.
I was telling Jordan that I get a sinister feeling from my car now.
Shit laughs at you as you go to get in and said,
but like, yeah, I get in and I'm driving and I just constantly am gripped by this feeling that something terrible is going to happen.
You never know if your wheel's gonna fall off, your exhaust's gonna fall off, your motor mounts are gonna just do a fucking delete.
Well, no, it's now when I hear any noise whatsoever, I'm like, oh, something's fucking breaking again. I'm gonna flip over and die. Yeah. So, like, I feel like it's just a bad omen at this point. I just need to get something different. But I'm also not in a position to get something different.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm very naturally paranoid around vehicles. I'm like, I just really want this thing to work. And, like, the Yaris is the total opposite where it's like, I'll start it and it's like, and I'm like, oh, man, it's going to die. And then it's like, all right, I'm good. Like, I'm chilling.
Man.
Bingeling.
If the Yaris isn't scrap metal by the time you're done with it, I want it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it. I'm just going to, like, throw stuff at it. Kick it, crash it into things.
Yeah, that Yaris, man. I mean, the engine sounds great. I can't talk about anything else.
Wasn't it rebuilt or tuned or something?
It was tuned. It was tuned
yeah,
previously,
so,
but it sounds great and it looks pretty clean. So, my dad's a little wild though, because I was talking to him last night and I was saying how like the clutch felt weird. I figured out what it was. It was just I got new shoes and I was being a dumbass.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, it feels weird. And I also did almost distinctly feel it slip out of gear the other day, but I don't know what that was about. I'm just going to ignore that for now.
I want to pretend I didn't see that.
Just going to pretend that didn't happen. But I was talking to my dad about it. I was like, I've debated that, like, if the clutch does go, maybe I should put one in. Like, it cost me a couple $100 to do. Like, maybe I should, because everything else is fine. And my dad's, like, just, like, not smart with his money. And he's like, yeah, man, put a new clutch and then like you can do the body work. I'm like, I don't care about the body of the car. I don't plan on putting any money into this car besides maintenance.
Put in like a race clutch, like
there
one of the ones where like
you fucking SpongeBob it and you floor it.
Yeah, like it's you lift up a little bit and it grips fucking instantly.
Yeah, but no. So the other day, the reason I thought it slipped was I was leaving our work, and you know how you come out and then you go straight to that stop sign. I went the long way because I was gonna punch it into third. I was like, let's fucking go. Let me get some zoom before I get to the stop sign, right? Every typical manual driver moment, just fucking bang into third, and I'm like, yeah, okay, gotta stop. But I go into third, and I'm going. I let off the gas, and I'm trying to let it engine brake a little so I can downshift into second. And as it's like, you can distinctly feel it engine braking. All of a sudden, it just like releases and just coasts like I had the clutch in. And then it caught again and started like bucking, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And it was just sort of chilling. Yeah,
that's a bit worrying.
A little bit, but it's done that like once before, but it's not like it still shifts fine. Like it shifts great. Clutch pedal feels great. Like I don't know. Maybe I was thinking maybe it's a worn pressure plate, but usually that's like it's busted or it's not. Like
yeah. It's broken or it's not.
Yeah, it's not like a slipping clutch where it's like, oh yeah, it works
a
little bit.
It kind of works, but like if I punch it, it slips.
Yeah, like a busted up pressure plate is like either you put the clutch in and it does nothing and you're still in gear, or you put the clutch in and it never comes out of gear.
my Canyon, I'm like 60% sure that when I would really bury the right foot, it would slip, like the clutch would slip.
Oh, really? That's
because funny. It would just have like moments where it would just like the RPM would just go like, and it would come back, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's slipping for like 0.1 seconds.
Yeah.
But I don't care enough to fix it.
So. Right. Yeah, our boss was telling me how to test it, but if I'm honest with you, the way he was telling me is like a little scary, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to risk that with the RS, so.
Oh, yeah. Scary how?
Well, he's saying so the way you're supposed to test it is put it under the highest stress. And he said the way to do that, and like the Yaris being a 5-speed, is to get it going in first and then punch it straight to 5th. And then give it a lot of gas. If it starts to slip, then it's on its way out. And I'm like, it just sounds like I'm going to do that and the whole car's going to explode.
I do that on the highway sometimes. Like if I'm in...
Like from third to...
No, if I'm in like 6th gear on the highway, just the end of it. If I'm in 6th gear on the highway, I'll put my foot to the floor and then release my gas pedal really quick because the turbo makes a funny noise. It makes like not an out of the ordinary funny noise,
cool noise,
but it makes a turbo noise. So it goes, I hear, I'm like, that's pretty neat.
Chris is going 50.
I am a child.
Chris is like,
yeah, no, that's how it be sometimes.
I'll be honest, I would probably do the same thing. I would probably do the exact same thing.
Because when I first got it, I'm like, man, I really don't know how I feel about this whole like blow off valve noise. But now I'm like,
yeah, no, it's definitely I like it. Yeah, I would probably do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
I do like that. But aside from media class, Chris, and colorblind students, what else you been up to? Feeling a bit better, which is good. I'm glad to hear.
I've feeling a bit better. On the topic of cars, talked a little while ago about how I got a speeding ticket.
Yes, that's right. And you were supposed to fight it, right?
Yeah. So I finally, went to the courthouse to fight it.
Oh, it's already done. Okay.
And
he's being arrested.
It's not absolved, technically. Mm-hmm. If I don't get any more tickets or accidents or something like that for 6 months, then it will be absolved.
But for now, it's just in limbo. You don't have to pay it. You don't have to. Yeah.
So
I mean, that's cool.
I was under the assumption that because it's my first ticket, they were gonna just say whatever. But
it's probably. Did they look at the driving record for like the Prius incident?
No, that didn't count.
I was gonna say maybe that's why they. But honestly, Chris, just know I now know how to ruin you. I'm gonna wait. You're gonna be like going to get Chick-fil-A. I'm just gonna fucking ram into you and be like, come on, man.
Well, this would be an at-fault accident.
I'll make it at fault. Cut the brake lines.
Okay. All right, buddy.
But
yeah,
that's
so
good though.
I did that. That was interesting, I guess. It was a long process. Okay.
Just to absolve what, like $100 ticket or something?
Yeah, it took me like, I filed the thing, and I didn't get the letter or like a date to go to court for like 3 months. And then I finally went, and then I showed up. This is what happened, by the way. I got to the courthouse. The courthouse, no parking to speak of. There's no parking. So I was like, I'm going to park on the street. Because I was under the assumption that the parking meters were, like, made in this century.
Oh, yeah.
So you could just, like the ones where I go to school, you can just, like, scan a QR code or whatever.
Yeah.
And punch in your plate number and, like, credit card number and stuff and just pay. Mm-hmm. No, change only. These things look like they're from the fucking 1870s.
Coughing up a lung.
What the fuck is this? 1785? So, I had like 11 cents in my car. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna park here, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I remembered a nugget of information that there's a specific garage that you can park in, that's right near the courthouse. So I got there. By that time, it was almost time for me to show up. So I was like, I paid. And then I fucking hoofed it. I fucking ran to the courthouse like 800 feet maybe. And I was like, I busted through the doors and I was like, I'm here.
They're like, who the fuck are you? They're like, wrong courthouse.
And then I showed up and the lady's like, okay, take off every article of clothing you have to go through the metal detector. And then it went off because I turned around too fast. I put all my stuff in. Belt came off. Boots came off because they were steel toe. Mm-hmm. They went through the thing. And then I went through. Metal detector didn't go off. I went to grab my stuff. I turned. And then it went off. So she had me walk back through and going again. And apparently, it can just go off if you turn too fast.
Oh. You just generate that much force. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. I don't know what the fucking deal with that is. But then, I finally got to the actual clerk's office, and I handed in my paper. I was like, okay, I'm here. Okay, go wait. And then I waited for like an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Damn.
Yeah.
So did you leave work early one day to do that?
Yeah.
So all right, that's a perfect segue to something I gotta make fun of Alex for.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I think you tell the story best, but I can sort of preface it with my feelings. Alex did some dumb shit, and honestly, I want to slap him when I see him.
So we're making a call-out post on our pal Alex.
Yeah, you know him from the show. He's the guy who shines like a beacon.
Yeah.
Every time he's on the fucking show.
So basically, he's working on a project for school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Understandable. His senior year.
Yeah.
Still his thing.
He left the charger for his laptop at school, like on campus.
Yeah. Roughly how far of a drive from his house would you say?
Probably like 25 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
20 if you
so
really
25 minutes
really
out of his way. So Alex is currently 25 minutes away from his charger.
Yeah. And instead of using the entire weekend that he had, or just, I think he realized on the like Thursday, and I was there Friday, he could have just had me get it. Mm-hmm. Instead of just either having me get it or getting it himself, mm-hmm. he decided to not do either of those things because he had to relax,
I was doing a little relaxing.
I had to relax. And so he didn't work on his project at all.
Because he was relaxing.
Because he was relaxing. He couldn't go get his charger. He was relaxing. And then he finally went to get his charger. And then he said, I need to take 2 days off to work on my project now.
Yeah. So motherfucker wasn't at work for 2 extra days. All because he was relaxing and he couldn't get his damn charger.
That being said, next week for me is gonna suck ass.
Why? Is it like a project of some sort or final?
No, it's for my lighting lab. I'm gonna have to leave early on Monday. I'm gonna have to leave early on Wednesday. So.
And then you're not there Friday for the lab too.
I'm not there Friday.
Yeah, that does kind of suck. But yeah, just don't forget your charger there. I'm gonna fuck it. When I heard this, like when I heard he had it off, I was like, yeah, cool. And then Chris mentioned this to me. He just goes, I was like, yeah, what does Alex have? Like a project? And he's like, well, yeah, kind of. He forgot his charger, so he couldn't work on it on the weekend. And my response was just like, what? Could you? Yeah.
Why couldn't he just go get it?
Yeah, take me back to the series of events. Like,
yeah. So that's a bit of an Alex moment.
That is such an Alex moment.
I had to fucking relax. I don't know what to tell you.
I play with my flight sticks and
fucking relax. And... Okay, buddy.
I like to think that he literally just goes home and he's like a fucking android. He just goes on the charger and sits there.
He fucking powers off.
And that's just fucking relaxing. Yeah. So Alex is a call out post to you. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Fucking wrong with you, man.
Honestly.
So let's see, Chris. You had your project. You went to court. Did anything else interesting happen to you?
Watch a movie.
That's very unusual. So you have my curiosity piqued.
Yeah, so I first heard about this movie through an ad on TikTok. I'm like, this looks interesting. And then I saw someone I watch on YouTube made a video about the movie. So I'm like, okay, I trust this guy's opinions, usually. So I'm just gonna watch the movie because it was available for streaming, somewhat
Convenient.
recently.
Yep.
So there's a movie called Skinamarink, and it's an abstract experimental horror film. And abstract meaning like very abstract. Like there is a plot, but it's not like
In your face sort of thing.
yeah, and the way one of the things that's very effective is that the camera is never on anyone's face in particular. It's always like showing a shot of the floor, showing a shot of the wall from like the perspective of the two main characters, which are children. And it was nightmarish in a literal sense. It was like I was watching a nightmare.
Really?
It was it was a lot of it was very tense, and it was one of those movies where every time I watch a horror movie or play a game or something, 9 times out of 10 I can see the jump scares coming from a mile away.
Of course.
And in this movie, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a jump scare very soon. But every time there was, it was like just earlier or just later than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it would make my soul exit my body every time.
Had an out-of-body experience.
So, it's a movie you have to be in the right mood for, or else you're not going to, like, understand it. It's more of an experience than, like, a film. Like, It's more of you just have to be in the right mind space for it.
Yeah, you gotta walk into it with a certain sort of attitude.
And it really is like, I'll say this, just as a disclaimer. The first half hour of the movie, quite honestly, is the most boring piece of cinema I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
I turned it off after half an hour, and I came back a different day.
So you had a bad day and a good day.
Yeah. But then the hour and 10 minutes after that is like a nightmare.
Yeah.
It is fucking terrifying in an interesting sort of way.
Yeah.
So I recommend it if you want to watch something abstract. If you don't like that sort of, loose abstract filmmaking, you're not going to like it. It's not for everyone.
Right. So it's more like a technical marvel, so to speak.
It's more of like a proof of concept of how the style of like analog horror, which is like been pretty relegated to the internet, how that style is being transferred to cinema now.
Yeah. I'm a pretty big horror guy, and I've been seeing there's like a TikTok trend. It's probably from a movie, maybe even from that movie. I don't fucking know. Maybe it is because the name Cinema or whatever. But where they say like if you see a copy of or someone who looks like you.
Oh, that's from the Mandela Catalog.
Yeah,
That horror series, I will say, it's a internet horror web series, and it is some of the best horror I've ever seen.
That's not the one we saw with the radio and the guy driving through the woods?
No, that's Local 58. They're similar, but the Mandela Catalog is very much more fleshed out.
Yeah, is it long?
Not terribly long. Like
I might have to check it out.
There's 4 like main volumes right now, but there's like a bunch of other like smaller stuff that you can watch, and like the last volume that just went up is like 45 minutes.
Yeah,
and then the one before that's like 30, and then the other 2 are like 10 and 15 or so. So
it's not bad.
But it's fucking fantastic. But it also makes me a bit angry because the guy who makes it is like younger than me.
Really?
He's like 18, so not much younger than me. He's like basically my age, but he's like 18, and it pisses me off.
Yeah.
That he's so talented.
Yeah,
and I'm not.
So I've been seeing that trend on TikTok where they use that soundbite, and then
And basically
like,
the whole idea is that the monsters, they're called alternates, and they're supposed to be direct copies of people.
Yeah.
And there's more lore to it. It's highly recommended. It's one of the few things it's kept me up at night from how scary it was.
Yeah.
When I first watched it. It's not a problem anymore. But like when I first watched it, I was like, man, I'm a little spooked right now. I'm a little rattled. And that's the first time that's happened.
Rattle me bones.
That's the first time that's happened to me in a long time.
Yeah. The TikTok trend of it is pretty cool because like, I'm a sucker for the fucking VHS effect.
Well, yeah, so
I'm a
you
fucking
really
sucker.
love analog horror. There's a ton of good series.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that, and that's what a lot of people do. Is they're like the one I saw last night was like a girl brushing her hair, and that sound plays, and then she hears a door, and she's like, "Oh, hey, mom, welcome home," or whatever, and like you see like just half the mom's face, and she's looking, and all of a sudden the bitch like leans her head over, and it's the same girl, but she's got like a fucking demented smile.
I think I've seen that
pretty
exact
spooky.
video.
Yeah, it's pretty spooky. It's like, oh, it's cool. I like that shit.
It's made me discover that I hate as in I am terrified of creatures or entities that are not human but look human.
Right.
Because with like a monster,
It's a monster.
a monster. You know that thing's a fucking monster. I got to avoid that. But if I just see a guy that now has the capability to just fucking erase me from existence and take my place.
Yeah.
That's fucking
that's
terrifying.
the other part of the trend too. Is so that one I was referencing
That's
doesn't show
terrifying.
that, but like a lot of the other ones are like, yeah, they kill the person and then they stand up and it's the same person, like basically.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea.
They take their place.
And there's like levels of assimilation where there's like partially assimilated, like fully assimilated where they look like the person, and then like overdriven assimilation where they take on more monstrous features.
Yeah, that's probably the fucking smile the bitch had in the video.
And it's super interesting. I even made like one of the projects I did in my editing class, or 2 of them technically, was very much based on or very much inspired by that series.
Yeah, I remember like Local 51 I really liked or whatever, or was it
So
Local 58?
Local 58.
58, yeah, I was like 51 didn't sound right. Local 58, we watched that. Alex and Chris had already seen it, but I saw it for the first time with them in Chris's backyard at like 1 a.m. It's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool. I remember we were all
there's a ton of
like,
there's a ton of great series like that. There's like Mandela Catalog, which is, he's doing it the best.
yeah,
I'll say.
that's like S tier.
Yeah, Local 58's really good. Gemini Home Entertainment's pretty good. There's the Walden Files, which I don't know a ton about. It's very much like kind of like FNAF inspired, where it's
But
like
it
I think it's basically FNAF with different rules from what I've gathered, but it's also very good from what I've heard.
Yeah, for the booms watching, FNAF is Five Nights at Freddy's.
There's
That's a
oh man, there's a ton of them.
I know someone's listening who's like, what the fuck is FNAF?
The guy who made Skinamarink, his channel, Bite Size Nightmares, he does a ton of videos like that.
Two Sentence Horror Stories is one of my favorite subreddits.
Two Sentence Horror has some garbage on it, though.
It does. Like, it has some hot garbage.
My favorite thing to read is bad Two Sentence Horror.
Oh, is that another subreddit?
No, I think it's just usually collections of images, like posts from Two Sentence Horror, and there's some bad ones, bro. Some bad ones. But one that was fucking hilarious that I read was, the first sentence was, there was once a man named Mr. Teeth. Second sentence was, we still don't know much about him. What the fuck? Or the people who put, like, they squeeze, like, a paragraph into a sentence. So there's some really shitty two-sentence horror stories. But there are some good ones. I'm going
to read you one, Chris. Just one. I have no idea if this is good. You ready? Quit eating up our taxes and try how garbage tastes, you homeless fuck. Great idea, the haggard thing said, opening its jaws and revealing countless rows of razor-sharp teeth. Spooky.
That's scary.
Spooky. There's a TikTok that compiles some of, like, the decent ones. There's some pretty cool ones. I don't really care for the out-of-this-world ones. I prefer, like, the ones that are more grounded in reality.
Yeah,
like, that takes me out of the immersion when it says, he opens his jaws and reveals his teeth.
Yeah, I don't... That's kind of where I was going. I was like, I don't really like concept of, like, monsters.
Yeah.
More so that I like stuff that's more pulled into reality. What I found recently in this same genre, oh man, I can't remember what it's called exactly, but it's like a documentary. It was like 35 minutes long, and it was about this class of, like, creatures that just appeared on the Earth one day. And they are from Earth. And they're made of, like, muscle, like people and everything else are. And as it progresses, the creatures get more and more dangerous. So, like, the first one is, like, a plant. And it's not dangerous at all. In fact, it can make really good fertilizer. It's useful for humans. And from the plant spawns little guys, little crawling, like, mites. And they're pretty harmless, too. People even keep them as pets. One of the options is, like, a big snake, which is harmless to people, but a bit scary because it's giant.
Remember when I said I'd shoot a snake? I don't like snakes.
and then the third one is called, this creature is called the meat mimic, and it's like a person, kind of, that's like 7 or 8 feet tall. Mm-hmm. Big ass, long ass fingers.
It's like Slender Man.
And it's all red. And it eats people exclusively.
Huh.
And there's no way to defend yourself against it, which is something that I really don't like. Because I'm watching this, I'm like, just shoot it in the fucking head. Just shoot it in the head. What happens then? It fucking dies. It's got to die somehow.
Yeah.
And in the documentary, like, after I said that, it goes, do not try to defend yourself. And it shows someone shooting at it, and it just gets pissed.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, it cuts to found footage of one of these things attacking, and it was genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
So that's another good one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's worth checking out. If I remember, I'll put it in the comments, or I'll have Jordan put it on screen.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned unkillable things. Damn, typing and spelling while fucking talking is hard.
Here it is. That first one.
Vita
right
Carnis.
Vita Carnis Living Meat Research Documentary.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Fantastic.
So you say documentary. Is it fucking real? Like, is part of it real and then they just adapted it?
No, it's just presented as a documentary.
Okay. I thought, like, part of it was based in reality, like how The Last of Us has the cordyceps or whatever.
Like, no, it's just presented as a documentary which humanizes or brings to Earth a lot of the creatures, whereas, like...
Just a horror show.
Yeah, it's like, oh, these things just appeared, they're aliens or whatever, and they want to kill humans. It's just like, these things exist in nature. This is how you conduct yourself around specific creatures.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of things that can't be killed, there's a fucking side creature boss thing in Dead Space that its whole thing is, like, you can shoot its limbs off. That's how you kill the necromorphs. And when you shoot its limbs off, it just like stays there for a while and then it like reattaches itself. Fucking terrifying. Shit pops out of vents and shit like Among Us. It's fucking terrifying, dude.
It's the imposter.
Dude, honestly, he's red as well. Yeah, he looks like a meat crayon. He's just like.
I'm gonna have to play that game.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you really have to. It's very good. It is the one EA title that I've paid $60 for in the last like 10 years that I was like, wow.
Oh, it's EA, isn't it? Yeah.
I like this. Yeah, it's Motive. Motive made it, and
That's
now they're
crazy.
making some other shit.
That's crazy because EA, I don't think, because EA was always like the big one who would get flack. It was them and Ubisoft. And then Ubisoft really cleaned up their act. And they make like, how do I want to describe this? They can put out like 6 or 7 out of 10s every time.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is a game.
Yeah.
It's all right. Not my favorite, but it's certainly fun and engaging enough that I might finish it.
Mm-hmm. And then rarely they put out like an 8 or a 9.
And very rarely they'll put out like an 8 or a 9. But like EA, I feel like everything they put out is shit.
Yeah. It's any project that EA is hands-on with is shit. The only two they're not hands-on with that are coincidental with some of the highest rated games is Jedi Fallen Order and the Dead Space remake. They just left it to the developers and were like, figure it out.
I think that's what they need to do more.
Yeah.
Because they buy up studios and then kill them because they just force them to make piece of shit games.
Yeah. And then they wonder though, like, why is the stop dropping? What the fuck?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like they gotta clean their act up. But also they have their fucking talons in like all the sports games, which make crazy money.
Yeah, they lost their FIFA license, I think, and then their NFL license expires this year, I believe.
Which
and they're probably not going to renew it.
That's gonna be like a bullet in the head for fucking EA.
Yeah.
If they don't really clean their act up after that.
For real. Yeah, no, 100%. But the Dead Space remake, it's very, 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 very good. The game's not as scary as I remember. I think it's just because I'm older. I'm just like, it's just got the general scares that like we've come to know. So I'm like,
yeah,
you know, it's got the occasional jump scare where I go, but I'm never like, holy fuck. If anything, it's more tense. Like you run out of ammo and you're fucking running, and there's like you hear this creature behind you, and you're like, fuck.
I don't like things that rely on jump scares too much. I think a lot of horror movies in particular, and games too. Ever since like FNAF came out. It was like they rely on jump scares.
I prefer attention.
Yeah, and that's again, I'm gonna be sucking this series dick too much. But back to the Mandela catalog, there's no real jump scares. It's more of just it creates this feeling of dread.
Yeah.
As you watch it, and you're just terrified, but you're not sure why or what you're scared of. Yeah. And then there's no like rah. You know?
And I think more than even movies too, games have the ability to do that because you have to control it. Yeah, like a movie you're watching, you're like, if you're watching a character who's like, and they're creeping around, you're like, what are you panicking at? I can't see anything.
Yeah, what are you freaking out about?
Like, that's the thing about Outlast that always gets me is like the creatures in Outlast aren't particularly demonic and scary. They're creepy. But like, in Outlast, it's like when you hide under the bed and fucking Billy comes walking by and you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. That's the scary part. So like with Dead Space, it's got that old school vibe. It's a lot of jump scares, but like for me, the best part of it is like the tension of like you're in a boss fight, you fucking turn around and there's 3 necromorphs coming and you're like, oh shit, you don't have enough ammo for them. But I will say, Chris, maybe it's by design, but there's 2 soft lots that I found in the game that almost completely ruined my save.
Really?
Yeah. They almost became hard lots. One of them specifically. The first one is definitely a soft lock. So what happens is there's a specific scene where you see these tentacles throughout the fucking Ishimura, which is the ship you're on. You see them occasionally, and they're just kind of like creeping around. You're like, ooh, something's gonna happen. Spooky. And then there's finally a scene where you're walking down a hallway and you're like getting stuck in like all this goo, and you're like, oh, this fucking sucks. And you get to the end of the hallway and you open a door, and the tentacle grabs Isaac from behind and starts dragging him. And then you get into kind of like this action set piece where you're being dragged and you're shooting the tentacle to break it. Well, it's possible to just not have enough ammo to break it. Like just not be equipped to even destroy it.
Huh.
Luckily, when it kills you, you spawn before you cross that hallway, so you can just turn around and go and buy ammo or go scavenge ammo and come back or whatever. So that's what I did. And then I killed it. The second time, however, that you get dragged by the tentacle, way later in the game, chapter 10 of 12, by the way, so right at the fucking end, it's possible to do the same thing, to have not enough ammo, and when you respawn, you're in the action set piece.
I see.
So I died, I counted, Chris, 16 times. 16 times I died in this action set piece before finally I realized one of my guns had just enough ammo that I was able to get in the set piece, spam the button, so that way by the time it actually let me control, he had already switched to that gun, reload it, fire 3 grenade launcher rounds from it, and then shoot the shit out of the tentacle. I literally killed it last second with the last bullet in that gun.
Oh my god.
I almost locked the entire game on myself.
See, I don't think things like that are ever by design, because the game should give you, at the very least, what you need to progress.
Well, part of me wonders, with the first one, maybe it was accuracy, but with this second one, with the way I happened to kill it, coincidentally with the last bullet, part of me wonders if maybe that was the thing I wasn't doing. Maybe the game expects you to dump your entire ammo reserve on it, and then it will adapt to that, so to speak. Because, like, Resident Evil does that a lot, where, like, Village, if you have a ton of ammo, more enemies show up. If you have no ammo, less enemies show up. So, like, in this game, I could see where it might have been by design to be like, oh no, you just found a bunch of ammo, now you're being dragged, and then you waste all of it, and then the tentacle dies. But I died 16 times. It was incredibly frustrating, but I got past it. I got past it, yeah.
Yeah, I think, the game should be giving you at least the bare minimum, what you need to progress. Mm-hmm. If it's a situation like that, it should be something like either you get pulled into a cutscene, or you like empty out your magazine or something. Yeah. And then that's it.
Yeah. Honestly though, like the other thing is too, like in fairness, I'm calling it a soft lock or a hard lock depending. That's because I want to beat the game cleanly on hard difficulty. I could have technically went in the settings, lowered it to easy, and probably killed it in 5 shots or whatever. But like you shouldn't have to do that. Like you said, the game should prepare you for what you need in some way. If it doesn't, it's just bad design at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like in Village, as much as like part of Village is like the scary part is you don't have enough ammo, you always kind of have enough ammo if you're smart with it. Kind of.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh, I have 2 bullets and 12 enemies. It's always like, oh, I have 12 enemies and 30 bullets, but it takes like 3 to kill each one. But if I do it smartly, I can like blow up this barrel and like push this one off a ledge, or like just shit like that. You know?
Well, there's the one encounter that you have where you walk into this like cave area or wherever, and you're just, there's like 40 fucking guys you have to kill. Yeah. And then you have to do a boss fight after that.
Yeah.
That part sucked dick.
It did.
That was the worst part of Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Village. That part sucked ass.
It did, yeah. It is that the boss fight right before? I'm sorry, is that the boss fight with the fucking cowboy hat guy? What the fuck is his name?
Heisenberg.
Yeah. It was with him, right? That one.
Yeah, it's like when you first get into like his compound or whatever.
Yeah, that shit sucked. That shit was rough. But the Duke is like always there in the elevator, and you have to like fucking that was tough. You had to buy so much ammo and do all this shit, and I kept getting wrecked.
Yeah, that part sucked dick.
Yeah.
So
I kept getting pretty wrecked, but no, Dead Space as a whole is pretty good. I do have to say the performance. I'm playing it on Steam Deck. It is verified. The performance is actually surprisingly good. It does drop a little, but by the time I got far enough in the game where like the action was enough to make the frame a little unplayable at times, I got used to the game looking a certain way where I was like, I really don't want to fuck with these settings. So like I did a boss fight, I'm not even kidding, at probably about 12 or 13 frames per second. I'm not even kidding. Like I did the whole boss fight at that frame rate. I was like, I'm just gonna suffer through. Like I'm just gonna do it.
When God of War came out on PC, there was an issue where, at least what I experienced, where it would start like high frame rate and then it would like slowly diminish in performance as I would play, and then I could restart the game and it'd be fine. So like every like 2 hours I'd have to restart the game.
Weird.
So when I think it was the first encounter you have with Magni and Modi.
Yeah.
And I did that encounter at like 20 frames per second because I had to restart the game.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna finish this and restart the game. So I'll start at like 90, and then over the course of the 2 hours, it'll drop to like 20.
That's crazy.
They fixed it like the next day.
Yeah.
So
it made sense. But no, it's cool. So I'm almost done with Dead Space. I'm on the second to last chapter, probably towards the end of that chapter as well. Nice. Then I got the second one for free for pre-ordering. So
original Dead Space 2.
Yeah, original Dead Space 2, which the rumor is they're going to remake it, but I'm like, I'm not going to wait 4 years to play the sequel.
Yeah, I think if you're going to be remaking a series, I think you should just, or be remaking a game in a series, you should remake all of them.
Well, look at Crash Bandicoot. What is it, the Reignited Trilogy or whatever? They released all 3.
Yeah, they released all of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, again, God of War, I was going to play the original games because they remastered God of War 3.
And then nothing else.
For PS4. So I was like, oh, they remastered 3. They must have remastered all the other ones.
And they didn't.
No, they did not.
Yeah, they just did 3.
So they just did 3. Not Ascension, not 2, not 1, just 3.
Yep. So it's pretty fucking stupid. What's it called? With Dead Space 2, what I didn't realize was, like, the whole time I was playing Dead Space, Isaac, I was like, man, I like him as a character. Like, he's very much, like, Doom guy adjacent, where it's like he's just a badass, even though he's supposed to be an engineer, so you would expect him to be more of, like, just a guy. But, like, you know, towards later in the game, he's just fucking molly-whopping everything in his path. And they do really well with his character. Like, I think his dialogue is really, like, natural in most places, maybe a couple odd lines here and there. And then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I really like how the game presents, like, story stuff where it'll be like, oh no, the reactor's reacting bad. And Isaac, being the engineer, they have him go into his character, and he's like, well, if I do this, and I move the A to the B and the C to the D.
According to my calculations.
Yeah, he pretty much does that in, like, a much more, like, I guess, manly way. Like, he'll just, like, a much more presentable way. Not like, according to my calculations, I can move the red wire to the blue. Like, he's just much more, like, real about it, right? And I'm like, man, that's, like, one of my favorite parts about the game is, like, the guy's performance. And then I'm listening to a podcast where they're talking about the remake and how, like, this is how you do a remake. And the guy mentions, yeah, it's way better that he, like, you know, he comes up with the plan himself, because in the original game, he doesn't talk. And I was like, what?
Huh?
So it turns out in the original Dead Space, all this stuff, all this dialogue about Isaac being like, I'm going to move the reactor to here, was instead of the person calling him being like, Isaac, we have a problem in Sector 7, and him being like, I'm going to do this, it was them going, Isaac, we have a problem in Sector 7, go do this.
Really?
He didn't say a word. He didn't talk until Dead Space 2.
Definitely a good addition.
Yeah. So what they did is they took the voice actor from Dead Space 2 and 3 and hired him again and had him voice Isaac in 1. I was like, that's fucking awesome. That's sick. Like, that's how you do a remake.
That is how you do a remake. That's a $60 remake right there.
Yeah. It's so good. But it was just funny because it's like, it's not like half-assed. It's not like, yeah, I'll move the core. It's like very good dialogue. And I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine to make him make the plan means they had to change everyone else's dialogue. Add lines, take away lines, you know. And the dialogue's fucking great.
It's a real remake instead of we used AI to upscale the textures.
It's really funny that
we
I
used
can
AI
sit here
to add fucking polygons to this.
It is kind of a sad day, though, that I can sit here and be like, dude, I can't believe they've remade the game. Like, they've remade it when it's called the Dead Space Remake, because we're so used to, like,
or remaster,
remake or remaster, and it's just like a 4K version of the same shit.
Yeah, they just, it's the equivalent of, when you were like 12, did you ever download like a Minecraft realistic texture pack? And it was just like, the cow texture would just be a picture of a cow.
Yeah.
The grass would just be pictures of grass.
Yeah.
And it was shit like that. That's what like the modern remaster is. It's like we just fucking took the textures that already existed, added some polygons, or like upscaled them in a way that we didn't have to remake them, and shit this game out in 3 months. Yeah. We didn't fix any of the bugs. We didn't fix anything.
Add any content.
We didn't add any content. We didn't modernize the game, because that's
we didn't change the controls.
Because that's the biggest thing that is a detriment with older video games, playing older games, is how fucking old they feel.
Yeah.
If you changed nothing about the game but just updated it to feel more modern, it would be a fucking instant improvement.
Well, think of like a Red Dead 1 remaster, like we've talked about. Like, you could port it to PS5, but it still feels old in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it feels old.
Yeah, but if you give it a little bit of love, I'm not saying you have to make Red Dead 2 again in Red Dead 1, but if you give it like maybe some more of the animations and physics from Red Dead 1, or even the gunplay, like down to having to load your gun after every shot and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just those little things, it'll feel like a different game entirely. Just by doing that. Not even by updating the graphics or anything. Just by doing that. Like,
100%.
That's the thing.
if it's the thing that puts me off playing like older games.
Yeah, 100%. The controls.
And it's the thing that makes me weary of remasters because I know it's still gonna feel like cement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really don't like that about old games, and it's a technology limitation, and now we don't have that limitation. So.
Yeah. Way past it. Yeah.
Because I'm even noticing now games from like not that long ago, relatively speaking, like The Witcher 3.
I was just gonna say.
The Witcher 3 feels old now. GTA 5 feels old now.
Yeah. I was going to say, as someone who's just recently replaying The Witcher 3 while playing Dead Space, after playing Red Dead 2 again, The Witcher 3, while it is a phenomenal game with a beautiful world and fantastic characters, has some of the worst third-person controls I've ever fucking used. The amount of times Geralt fucking spins in circles or Roach goes, I'm going to turn around now, and goes the opposite direction. It's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I was used to Red Dead where it's like, there's some weird animation things where, like, the game is really stuck on playing these animations out, so, like, weird stuff will happen. But generally speaking, Rockstar accounted for almost everything. So no matter what you're doing, Arthur will always basically follow what you're telling him to do one way or another. Whether it's like he turns to the side and walks sideways to make it like you're going forward, like just little things. But Geralt's just like swinging his arms and just walking everywhere, and it's like very stiff.
And Roach fucking sucks.
I really think for the next gen update they should have changed the controls. I'm not saying they had to like redesign the horse mechanics, but like change the controls.
But Red Dead 2 has ruined horses in other games for me.
100%.
Because I've never ridden a horse.
But I'd imagine Red Dead 2 is what it's like.
But I'd imagine it's pretty accurate to what a horse. I was playing Red Dead 2. You're like, this horse is a horse.
Yeah.
More so than playing Skyrim or Witcher or Red Dead 1.
Oh, Skyrim like, especially, yeah.
This horse is a vehicle that moves faster.
Yeah.
Rather than this horse is a horse and it has all the quirks of like a horse rather than like a car.
If you modded Roach into a bicycle, you could convince me that The Witcher 3 was bully. With the way that shit goes.
Could you? Could you convince you of that?
I think so.
Could
with the way
convinced?
That game handles with a fucking horse, like it has very similar like camera controls to Bully. Like it's just like, it's rough.
My favorite part of Bully is when he would ride the bicycle to a dragon's nest and cut off a fucking wyvern's head. That was my favorite part.
And then you do all the bike challenges and you get the fucking scooter or the go-kart, and then he drives the go-kart instead.
My favorite part about Bully is when he has sex with multiple sorceresses.
Hell yeah. This 15-year-old kid. Fuck, man. But, yeah, I don't know. The horse control stuff like that, like I think that's the biggest thing. If we're going to re-release a game and it's older, like the controls need to be up to snuff. Like the fact that Skyrim's re-released 9 times and the controls have maintained... is a problem.
And there's still bugs that existed in the original release.
Oh, and there's plenty of like game-breaking bugs in Witcher as well. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And, to Bethesda's credit here, I give credit where it's due. Their next game, Starfield or whatever it's called, they're making a new engine. Because that's why Bethesda games are glitchy and buggy as shit, because... they're using the same engine that they used from, like, fucking Morrowind.
Yeah.
And they're just adding stuff on top to make it fit the new game. So that's why, like arrows or something in Skyrim have, like, bullet characteristics where it's, like, modeled ballistics rather than modeling arrows.
Yeah. Like Red Dead arrows are arrows.
Yeah. So, and they're finally making a new engine, which is like kind of the standard. You make a new engine, or at least overhaul your engine every few years. If not for every new game. I mean, like Rockstar, they've been using the Rage engine for a long time, since San Andreas.
Yeah.
But, or maybe even might have been GTA 4. But they modernize it when they make a new game.
Yeah.
So, like, they feel similar, but GTA 4 is a lot more clunky than Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
Even though they're the same engine.
Well, that's why Bully has the same exact controls as Red Dead 2, but it feels completely different. And that's 2006 versus 2018 is 12 years.
Yeah.
Like, literally in Bully, it's the same thing. Trigger, A. Hey, how you doing? Trigger, B. Hey, fuck you. Like...
Yeah.
Like,
and that's another like big remake thing. Like if they were gonna remake Red Dead 2, if they put it on the same version, or Red Dead 1, yeah, if they put it on the same version of the Rage engine as they have on Red Dead 2, so it plays more similarly to Red Dead 2 than the original Red Dead 1, which still, it feels old, like I was saying, but it still plays okay.
The thing about Red Dead 2, I mean Red Dead 1 as well, is like they already have the character models. Like all of those characters are in the game. You could just like age some of them up a little bit.
That's also true, yeah.
That they have everything they need to remake it. You know how insulting it would be though, because you said remake Red Dead 2. Imagine if they actually remade Red Dead 2 next year.
And they remade
and they
Red Dead 2.
remake Red Dead 1.
I'd be furious. I'd be so mad.
They're like, this is the Red Dead 2 ray tracing update.
This is a Red Dead 2 remake, and they charge $70 for it. I would be.
And it's actually just GTA 5.
I would be furious. I would be so mad.
Fuck, man.
Are they still releasing that game, GTA 5?
I think it already came out for PS5.
Because they already did. They did their. That's fucking crazy. I can't even say they did their next gen update because they already did a next gen update in like 2014. They did their next gen update already.
Yeah. Next gen squared.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
It is pretty fucking wild.
That's another game that needs to stop existing.
Yeah, it really does.
Stop releasing GTA 5. Stop releasing Skyrim. I think they've stopped releasing Skyrim. I can't remember the last Skyrim release.
The anniversary update with the survival mode, which was, I think, when the PS5 came out.
Oh, so it's sooner than
it was November of 2020.
Yeah, they gotta stop releasing that game. But that's, that's November of 2020. It's 2023 now. So.
In fairness, Todd Howard, the fucking, like, whatever leader guy, designer guy at Bethesda, was like, when people were like, why do you keep remaking this? He literally
keep buying it.
He literally said, stop buying it and we'll stop making it.
And I think people are stopping to buy it finally.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's like, if they can put in minimal effort and make a ton of profit, why are they not going to do it, you know?
Exactly.
Like, I get that it's shitty, but, like, every company's shitty. That's capitalism. Like, they're out to make money. You're going to buy it. Vote with your wallet. Like,
I've said it before. All companies kind of suck.
Yeah. I look at it as vote with your wallet. Like, everyone who's been saying, like, oh, yay, PlayStation's finally bringing their games to PC. Buy it. If you like that behavior, buy the PlayStation games on PC then. That's what's going to show them that they should be porting games to PC, you know?
Yeah.
Like, when Returnal comes out, if it's Steam Dead verified, I'll probably buy it. Like,
yeah, that's a good point. But then there's companies that actually do listen. Not necessarily, this isn't necessarily a video game company, but Toyota was listening when the new Supra came out. And everyone was bitching, like, oh, it's automatic only. What the fuck? This is the whole. This is the whole appeal. The sports car is
automatic.
This is the whole appeal of like the Mark IV Supra is that it was like a rear-wheel drive V6, a 6-speed manual. I think it was 5-speed. I'm not sure. Any Supra wonks, feel free to correct me. And then you could boost it up to like fucking 1,800 horsepower.
Holy shit!
And they released a new one, and it's like, yeah, it has all that stuff, but it's automatic only. And then, like 3 years later, they were like, okay, because you asked, we weren't planning to do this, but because you asked, we're releasing one with a 6-speed manual now. Yeah. And sure enough, it's out now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I mean, another example of that too, much less grandiose, is like Dying Light. Dying Light 2 has a reference right in the beginning with a radio tower. It's literally an Easter egg for the first game where it's like, he's like, oh, thank God I don't have to climb this tower. And you try to climb the tower and you fail the mission. Right?
Really?
People literally said like, oh, we wanted to climb the tower to take screenshots because it's the biggest thing in the fucking game. You can see like the whole map before you get to the main map, and it's fucking magnificent. It's like a post-apocalyptic forest. It's beautiful. People are like, we wanted to take screenshots. Patch comes out randomly, removed barrier. You can just climb the tower now.
There's
just because people are like, come on, man.
There's a line like that, an Easter egg or reference line like that in Far Cry 5. Where you climb like the radio tower once, and he goes, I'm not going to ask you to climb all these radio towers. Yeah. Because in Far Cry 3 and 4, you would climb them. You would just climb radio towers because you didn't have to buy weapons. You would climb the radio tower and unlock a weapon for free.
Yeah.
So that's like so that's the first thing I would do when I would play the game is I would go and unlock all the towers.
Yeah.
Because
and you get the map revealed and everything, yeah.
Yeah, you would get the towers, and then you would go to the gun store, and you would have like every gun now.
You'd have fast travel. Like there was perks to
Yeah.
it, and that's why everyone was like, "This is the problem with Ubisoft. Is like they released Assassin's Creed, they put towers into the lore of the game. Like it's actually a lore thing, not necessarily just a gameplay mechanic. And then they're like, let's put that in fucking everything. Like the Division has towers, dude. Like
Yeah. I mean, Far Cry 6 does it better. It's outposts more than anything.
yeah, like you bust through the fucking gate.
Yeah.
Do it.
And it's not like traditional Far Cry outposts where it's like they're like checkpoints.
Yeah.
Where you show up and there's like 5 enemies maybe.
Yeah.
And you gun them down, you burn the place down, and then it's yours now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
But,
Video games, you know.
Yeah, more games need to use Unreal Engine, by the way, because I'm noticing. So they're using Unreal 4 for Atomic Heart, and honestly, I'm very impressed with their PC requirements. Now again, I still get skeptical, even though the game looks great and the developers have been super transparent. Their genuine PC requirements, Chris, it was like high settings, 1080p, 60 frames per second, a 1060. Now, you think like, oh, 60 frames per second. Like, what happens when I get to action set PCs? You know what they said? They said, no, 60 frames per second is the lowest frame rate we got when testing.
Wow.
The average in non-action areas was 100 frames per second. But we picked the lowest number and put that as the target. So, theoretically,
That's fair.
a 1060 is going to get you pretty much a locked 60 frames per second, which to me, 1080p 60 means a 1060, which is not too far off of a Steam Deck, running at 720p, I'd probably get that bitch to 40, 50 frames per second, somewhere around there. I'm fucking excited for Atomic Heart.
What's that one about?
It's kind of like a spiritual successor to BioShock.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Oh, yeah, I think we
Cold
talked
War
about
Soviet
this.
sort of spooky shit where you have powers and stuff. And it's kind of like a sort of like a Doom, like
Check it
BioShock.
out.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine in general, I think the demos for like UE5 are fucking insane.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
it's Nanite. Nanite's the biggest fucking thing they added to
It
that.
you can make things that look amazing that run well.
Yeah. Well, like I've watched so many videos when that came out or was announced, and of people like explaining how Nanite works. I'm just like, I don't get it.
I have no particular desire to make video games, but Unreal Engine is, unless I'm thinking of the other one. What's the
Unity.
other? Unity. I think it's Unreal Engine. They both maybe are completely free.
So Unreal Engine's free, and
You
after
just
you make
have
your
to-
first million, they take 10%.
Yeah, and it's open source as well, because I was like, I'll play around with this, and I went on like Epic Games,
And it's
the
right
store,
there.
because it's their engine, and they say, hey, link your account or like give us your email, and we're going to send you. You have to link your GitHub account, and we're going to send you the GitHub repository so that, you have all the source files
Yeah.
and you can use them at your leisure.
Yeah.
And
It's pretty fucking awesome.
it is cool. And I'm glad they kind of go for that model of like, we're only going to knock you once you start making the big bucks,
Yeah.
Once you
And
start making
10%
money.
too is not that bad.
10% of every sale? No, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Because
No,
I think already, like, Steam already takes 45% or whatever. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you make the game and they they do it that way, it'd be like 50% for them. I think Epic they do it based off your earnings as well, where like it starts at 10% after the million, goes to like 25 for the Epic Store. So if you have 10% for the creation, I'm not sure how that ties into like the Epic Store release. It might be the same.
They might cut you a break if you do an Epic exclusive.
Yeah.
Because they've been really good about that. I think it's because they're making so much money on fucking Fortnite.
Yeah.
That they can just be like, whatever. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
We'll make back whatever break we cut you. We'll make that back tomorrow because
We'll make that back right now.
Some kid stole his parents' credit card and bought 40,000 V-Bucks.
I do have to say, one thing I heard they do with V-Bucks that I thought was kind of cool is you can revert all of your purchases and get all your money back because of some law that was passed, but you just get banned. That's all.
You just get banned.
Like, that's kind of cool. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, so like when Fortnite dies, does that mean I can literally just get my money back?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know how that works.
for all your skins. They actually give it to you in V-Bucks, though. They
V-Bucks too.
transfer V-Bucks into your bank account.
There's just a new account open on my Bank of America app just saying V-Buck.
Hi, yeah, Jordan. It looks like on your account here you have 10,000 V-Bucks. Do you want to explain that? Is that like a cryptocurrency? Oh no, that's Fortnite. I'm gonna go buy some skins.
I'm gonna buy the Kratos skin.
I'm gonna buy the fucking battle pass.
Ah, shit. That's all I got, Chris. Chris guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Chris the dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any others?
Christopher.
Anyway, if you enjoyed whatever this was,
you can find us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS feed, all linked below. There's also Instagram and TikTok where you can contact us, and email synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, and death threats. And YouTube and Spotify both have video platforms.
They do.
That they do.
Hey, what's your favorite podcasting app? What's your podcasting app of choice?
Pocket Cast.
Damn, brother. Sponsor us.
It's free. It supports manual RSS. You can have a bunch of shows. You can set up nets. You can change speeds. You can do auto downloads.
Free advertising, Pocket Cast. Give us some money. Cut us some money.
Literally give
now.
me $30 and I will make an entire episode about your app.
An entire 1 hour episode?
Yeah.
For $30.
$30. I mean, that's enough dunking for like 3 days.
If you give him $30, you got to give me $50 though.
Yeah. Chris has no idea what Pocket Cast is, but he'll be there. He'll be moral support.
Yeah. I'll be there. I'll be a hype man. Yes. Pocket casts.
Casts in my pocket.
Casts? My pocket, dude. Yo, what do you think about that?
I'm casting fucking Wingardium Levioso. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything's got to be better than Spotify though.
Spotify fucking sucks. Spotify is good for one thing, and it's that they have definitely the best RSS support site.
If you have a podcast that has a lot of episodes, you're gonna be scrolling for fucking ever. You can't just filter out shit that you've already listened to.
That's another thing podcast does. Yeah, it filters out, obviously. It does this intuitive thing where it's like, oh, you already heard this? You're not going to listen to it again? Bye. And then you can go to the archive and view it.
So, anyway, see you next time.
See you next Tuesday.
No, next Wednesday. It's Wednesday. No. It's a Wednesday show. It's Wednesday.
I was calling them a cunt.